this is where we have to go from now on. And things like throttling, yes, it's very much an issue. In my world, it's one of wholesale. So that's being dealt with in one aspect. The other aspect, from a consumer perspective, they're very much controlling, again, what people are doing online. This is not impacting only that 5% that they speak of. It's 100%. Anybody using BitTorrent is being affected throughout those hours. So it's not just a little bit, it's everyone being affected. If you use a certain protocol they don't like, you are going to be affected. Plain and simple. So, where do we go next? We have to set some foundation so that everybody agrees and moves forward together. I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
All right, it sounds like a complete call for rethinking of the way our communication systems work. To a certain extent, we have 96% of the market in the hands of two people. There are different ways of thinking about this. In the old days, 1993, we used to talk about carriage and content separation. Maybe somebody wants to talk about that. You know, that's a whole different way of running the show. It's the content that's pretty the money, not the carriage. So maybe now they get it. They certainly didn't get it in 1993. That's that's one of the situations. I'm going to open it now to everybody. I think we've had three wonderful kicks at this particular situation. Now let's hear it from you people, and I'd like to recognize this gentleman down here.
Howard Knopf, one word we have not heard tonight, I don't think explicitly, everybody's danced around it, is the C word, competition. 96% in the hands of two companies. We have had virtually no competition law enforcement in Canada for about 20 years now on any of these issues, including the Competition Bureau goes after people for really quite trivial misleading advertising issues, and yet doesn't do anything about these companies offering 12 megabytes per second when you're lucky to get one. And things like that. But the main fact is that we only have a choice of two. In the United States, we have far more competition, and they have far better internet service down there. So there is a tremendous opportunity right now, maybe low-hanging fruit even, as you call it, Michael, if people put pressure on the Prime Minister and the ministers and the Minister of Industry to appoint a new commissioner who will actually do something about these issues, because there is a vacancy there. There's an acting commissioner right now, and that person or somebody has to be appointed who should make a commitment to do something about those issues. And that's just a statement, I guess, or a question is, what are we going to do about it? The other question, if I can get it in right now, is Charlie, or Mr. Angus, I appreciate your bill, and I know you want to do the right thing, but I have a concern with it in that it allows these companies to do what they seem to think they need to do when there's excessive, if I remember the word correctly, extraordinary, okay, congestion. Aren't you putting the fox in the chicken coop and letting them eat what they want? I mean, is that really going to work?
Can I just ask if people at the back are hearing any of this? Are you hearing it? Yes? Yes, you are. Okay, that's good. We didn't need a mic for that then? Okay.
Will that approach work, especially if there's no remedy built in?
Thank you. Well, I'd like to actually answer it in two parts, because the first part, I think, goes to the failure of the CRTC. And we've seen it in decision after decision, and it's always where you allow more and more concentration of power into fewer and fewer hands, and it's always sold on, we need this in order to have consumers to get better choice. We need this if we're going to maintain these markets. And then, of course, and I'm looking at it more right now from the broadcast issue, because you're seeing all this, the television industry, that when you do allow them that, the first thing they do is they cut that service, they consolidate, they do not have choice. So there's a problem with the CRTC, and we've done this for so long. Stepping backwards is going to be somewhat difficult. In terms of my bill, we had numerous discussions with various players about the bill and the best way to bring it forward, because I can bring forward a vision statement on where I think we need to go. But if we're going to actually get other party support to move them, they're going to recognize, or they're going to want to know, well, what if there is a major problem on the net? You're saying that they can never, the management can never be done under any circumstances. We say, in our first bill, we didn't, we were, I think, a little more general, and we decided that that was a weakness because it would allow them to get away with it, that they would have to prove extraordinary circumstances. From a public policy point of view, I don't have a problem if there's extraordinary circumstances giving Rogers or anybody the power to get the internet back into, back in focus. So that's something I can certainly sell to other political colleagues, and I think it works for me. So I don't know what the general public will think. Michael,
on the issue of competition, I think you're right, obviously. I mean, I think that the Bureau, the comments that I made around transparency is a Bureau issue more than anything else. And there's been just no action. And of course, the prior chair of the Competition Bureau came out of the telecommunications industry, and it's unfortunate that there wasn't more action on this particular issue. And I think they have been asleep at the switch. And so you're right. Whether or not the particular personality of whoever leads the Bureau will make the difference, I'm not sure. But when I talk about low-hanging fruit, it was the Privacy Commissioner, it's the Competition Bureau, it's the CRTC, and there's a role for the government. I think we've got a number of agencies already in place who can make a difference if they chose to act.
I guess from my perspective, one thing that could be shared was an experience that I went through. Obviously, everybody knows the throttling case, but when everything started, before it became a CRTC issue, we started looking around and asking what can we do? Just try to either get answers or somebody to fix this, what was instantly became a problem. And we attempted pretty well all the avenues, from Competition Bureau to Better Business Bureau to writing to our MPs, and everybody pretty well all said you have to go back to the CRTC. They are the ones that are going to, in the end, give you the answer of right or wrong, and then from there you'll have the ability to act or take it. And at this point, obviously, it's been more or less of a take it scenario. But I think, especially with what Conrad said recently, I mean, there seems to be a flavor developing for change. So long as we keep this up and we keep in their face about it, I think perseverance will actually prevail in this case. So the answer to you, I think, really right now is time and waiting them out and keeping on the pressure.
I must say that Rocky sent me a little correction notice here to make sure that we get this correct. It's 96% of the internet, Rogers. Yeah.
In Canada.
In Canada, right.
Not just Rogers.
No.
It's not just Rogers and Bell. It's 96% across Canada with all the telcos and cable tools.
Okay.
And if I could just, one quick follow-up.
We've got quite a few other people. And on that particular issue, before I recognize you, wanted to ask if one of our special guests want to weigh in on that particular topic. Mr. Gifford? Yes?
This is a quick question.
No, I'm not waiting for